One of the interesting aspects in your book, of course, and there are many, is the connection between Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Talk to us about those connections.
You're watching the Spotlight Network, starring Hollywood's newsman,
And if you were just
Logan
trying to
Crawford.
investigators, they now believe a single member.
He works with TV and film legends. And now, Logan's shining the spotlight on the world's top emerging authors and creators.
International were abducted.
This is Spotlight with Logan Crawford, streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV.
What if the divisions between faith, cultures, and even our own minds are hiding a deeper spiritual connection that has been there all along? I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we are talking to a terrific author. Her name is Annalie Mariem Pelot Al'Khalek, and she draws upon her work in psychology, her personal spiritual awakening, and what she describes as prophetic revelation to explore the possibility of humanity returning to a shared divine source. We're delighted to talk to this author today about her amazing book. It is called Returning to One: Unity of the People, One Soul, Mission to the Source. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today. We thank the team at Prime 7 Media for helping us put her on TV today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her amazing book. The links are below this interview. Annalie, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Yes, thank you. Blessings, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Blessings. Great to have you on the show. This is a wonderful book. It's very mind-opening and soul-opening as well. Talk to us a little bit about your background and what happened during that spiritual awakening experience that ultimately changed the direction of your life.
Yeah, so I'm a clinical psychologist. I work with adults primarily. And what really happened is during Ramadan, the first day of Ramadan, I was brought to my knees with a spiritual awakening. It was this undeniable knowing that Allah, the all universal energy source, exists. And following that, I started having other awakenings. So, also on the 21st of February, which is the day that Fatima, the Prophet Muhammad's daughter, was killed, I had another awakening where I was given a message with unity of the scriptures. So, Allah really wanted us to have unity of all of the scriptures. And a return to ourselves as one. So the balance of masculine and feminine traits. I was provided with that information and the understanding that throughout civilizations, whenever there's an imbalance between these traits, it leads to the destruction of a civilization. And you can kind of see even today that we're in our masculine dominant traits. So the rational mind, very interesting. And so I had about 7 awakenings now. And so I believe that they are the 7 levels of consciousness and that I've now reached the highest level of consciousness.
Well,
And in each awakening was a prophetic insight. So, for instance, well, I don't know how deep you want me to go into some of
no,
these.
sure, absolutely. Want to get good and deep.
Good,
Absolutely.
okay.
Yeah.
So, one of them, for instance, I was given, so Allah, the 100th name. And so the 100th name I was told was Annalie, but I speak some Arabic, and Anna in Arabic means I am a. And then it was I am a lie. And I was like, what? Why is that the 100th name of Allah? I am a lie. Interestingly, when I went and did the research, there was a Sufi in the 9th century who was actually killed because he said that the 100th name of Allah was I am the truth. So exactly mirroring what I got from Allah was so interesting. Another vision that I got was that the 2,500 euro tetragram of God, the Hebrew name of God, was Yahweh and Yahweh. They both represent the masculine and the feminine aspects of God. And also that God's name is Yeshua, and that God bestowed that name on Jesus when Jesus became a prophet. And that was one of the names that was actually been lost for over 2,500 years in the Hebrew um, tradition. Anyway, so that was some of the information that I got. And then all the information to unite all of the scriptures in one is really interesting.
Amazing, amazing. Now, how did you know that these messages were divine messages and not just maybe self-taught or self-talk or your imagination or a dream or something like that?
So I'm a clinical psychologist, and it
Mhm.
was very difficult to go through this awakening process because my brain had to completely integrate this whole new understanding of the unseen world. And so I'm very well versed in assessment, and I had to assess myself to make sure there's no hallucinations, like I'm not going through some kind of manic episode, there's no like psychotic episode or anything like that. And I've done a lot of research on like the Kundalini awakenings. So every one of the awakenings had these very specific symptoms that are also associated with the Kundalini awakening. So I'm like, okay, this is like a real thing. And then it's just this deep knowing. It's hard to explain, but then when I would do the research after about this stuff, I would see that it was real. Like there, I would have this knowledge, and then I would find evidence or things would come true later about some of my prophecies. It's very interesting.
Amazing, amazing. I like the fact that you had to rule out that you were psychotic. I think that was great.
Very
I'll
much.
rule it out as well. Don't worry, don't worry. And I'm not a clinical psychologist. One of the interesting aspects in your book, of course, and there are many, is the connection between Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Talk to us about those connections.
So it's all one. So somewhere along the line in the Hebrew tradition, this name Yeshua was like forgotten. I don't know if it was purposely or accidentally or what happened there, but that ties the Hebrew tradition to Christianity, right? And we also know that in Islam, in the Quran, for instance, we are very much aware and open about the fact that Christianity and the Hebrew tradition, Judaism, are all coming from the same source. So it ties all three of these like Holy Trinity faiths together. But really, there's a little bit of truth from all of the faiths. So it's not even just those three. It's all one story, honestly, and we're fighting about it when we could be uniting together,
I
right?
know. Well,
Right?
it's the religious divisions are crazy. I mean, because you have Christians who don't like this denomination of Christian. You're Catholic, you're Protestant, I don't like you. You're Jewish, I don't like you. You're Muslim, I don't like. People do have to come together. So this is a great call for unity and to look at the commonalities and the links between our faiths, correct?
I agree, honestly, and it's about faith. I don't even think we need religion, to be honest.
Right.
Faith comes from the heart. Like we don't really
Yeah.
need an institution, right? But all the power to you if it helps bring you to the source, but we don't really
Right.
need it. Yes.
Exactly. Exactly. Religion is a creation of man. Faith is a creation of God or the creator. That's how I've always viewed it. And that's why so many of our religious institutions, no matter what the faith or denomination, are flawed. So
I
I think that's important to look at. You examine heaven and hell from a
agree.
unique perspective. Talk to us a little bit about that.
So, a psychoenergetic perspective. And so we know, for instance, in the Quran, they talk about seven levels of heaven. In psychology, we understand that there are seven levels of consciousness, and your consciousness is your ability to perceive certain situations in a higher way, right? You're either subconscious, so you're guided automatically by your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, or you're conscious. You are the person that's able to take a step back and be the observer of your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. And so the psychoenergetic perspective of heaven and hell understands that the unseen world is energy. And we know from science that there is energy in everything. So we're all made out of atoms, everything's created out of atoms. They're constantly vibrating and they emit an energy. And so instead of thinking as heaven and hell as like this distant, faraway place, it's actually a state of consciousness when you are conscious, right, and aware. Um, you're feeling good, it's positive, and that's the positive energy. Think of it as like heaven or the angels or something like that, whatever you want to call it. Whereas if you're subconscious and you're just guided automatically, usually that's negative thoughts and feelings, and that's like the hell you live in. It's a negative state that you're being guided by. And so, that is really heaven and hell. And so we also know from science that the energy you put out into the world is going to be reflected back on you. So that's like karma that you hear in a lot of other religions too, or other beliefs as well.
Absolutely. In many ways, it's very existentialist. We basically create our own heaven or hell right up here, right?
Exactly. But the unfortunate thing is that meta awareness is a skill that needs to be developed. And unfortunately, we are often kept in a distracted state, understandably, in our society. We're often on our phones, we're scrolling, we're doing all these things. But that is keeping us from developing this meta awareness, this level of consciousness that you need to become closest to the source. And so, to become closest to the source, you have to completely kill the ego. You have to be your truest, authentic self because God created each of us in God's image, right? And it's our unique differences that need to shine. That's what brings us close to the source.
Absolutely. Part of your mission is healing collective consciousness and helping humanity evolve. Talk to us about what that mission entails and how you're hoping to do that.
So we developed the MAHDI program. The MAHDI program stands for Meta Awareness through Holistic and Divine Integration. And so, meta awareness, consciousness, how we're going to help people build that is through holistic processes. So they're all evidence-based processes that we already use in psychology, like CBT, acceptance and commitment therapy, motivational interviewing, all it's exercise, all of these tools that we already know benefit people, but we're putting them together. And then the divine integration, so where we're starting to teach people about that psychoenergetic perspective, helping them choose gratitude, prayer if that's what they're okay with, just choosing love. And so that unconditional love for self and others, compassion, these kinds of things. And when we put it all together, we're going to elevate consciousness at the collective level. And if we can do that, then the collective energy will be a positive energy and will change the world, honestly.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's a great goal, and I think it's completely possible. I think we change people one mind at a time. So I think that's great. Talk to us a little bit about your unique spiritual background, Catholicism, Rastafarian, and
Yeah.
also later Islam. Talk to us about how that's influenced your belief systems and your search for spiritual unity.
So I was raised as a Catholic. My mother and we were raised as Catholic, went through all of the different processes from reconciliation to and my father was a Zionist, so he was a Rastafari from Jamaica. And so he kind of taught me some of his beliefs too. When I got to about young adulthood, I started pushing against the church. I really had a hard time with the church, but I always still had faith in God and I was always still a good person. Eventually, I started getting to a point where I started just being interested in other scriptures and I started reading the Quran a little bit and I really valued the core messages within Islam. And Islam literally means submission to one God. That's all it means. And so every single person who believes in one energy source, we're all kind of right. And so
Right. So everybody who's of a monotheistic tradition is in alignment with that, right?
exactly. Even the
Yeah.
ones that people think aren't monotheism. So, for instance,
Right.
in Hinduism, they have a bunch of gods and goddesses, but those are all traits of one universal source energy. And so, if you
Right.
believe in one universal source energy, then yeah, so that's what
Yeah.
I call Allah. Allah is all. That's what I say. The all universal source energy is what Allah is. And the prophets were just awakened individuals like myself. And once you awaken, you start to learn a lot about your true identity. So I learned that I come from the Solomon and Queen of Sheba bloodline, so the Abraham bloodline. And I imagine many people probably do because it was so long ago. And you start learning about your past lives. You really tap into the source, the Akashic records. They really do exist. It's very interesting.
Wonderful, wonderful. Before we leave it today, explain to the folks at home what your MADI framework is.
The MAHDI framework is, again, it's a tool that we're going to use in therapy, and hopefully it'll be free to everybody. That's the goal, right? It's increasing meta awareness through those holistic and divine integration. So it's a program that will be available to everyone because it's everyone's birthright to become connected to the source. And ultimately, that is how we're going to help heal the individuals, which is going to help heal the collective. And so again, it's just different strategies, cognitive behavioral therapy, acceptance and commitment therapy, using a lot of Jungian psychology analyses. So helping people really do that shadow work, break the ego down and find their true authentic selves. And through that and through the divine integration, so gratitude, compassion, love, that is where we're going to connect everybody back to the source.
Wonderful, wonderful. The name of the book is Returning to One, Unity of the People, One Soul Mission to the Source. It is a powerful book that'll change the way you live, change the way you think, and change the way you view the world around you. Annalie, thank you so much for joining us here today.
My pleasure. Thank you guys for having me.
Great to have you on the show. I appreciate your time, your insight, your wisdom, and the great work you've done on this book. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time.